Yo, what's going on, guys? Houston Sports Talk back into the video today. Today we're going to be recapping today's NFL games, as today was the start of NFL Week 2. Well, obviously Thursday night's game was the start of Week 2, but this was, the main This was the main, the main start of Week 2, and Week 2 continues tomorrow when we have a doubleheader for Monday Night Football. I loved watching today's games, but I can't even tell you guys how much I am excited to watch those two games tomorrow night between the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers, and then also the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. I don't know how other people feel about it, but I wish we had more doubleheader Monday Night Football games. I think it used to be, years back, it used to only be one. It used to happen week 1, and then you wouldn't see it happen throughout the rest of the season. And then you didn't see it last week. You only saw one Monday Night Football game, and that was between the Jets and the Bills. No doubleheader last week. But for the next 2 weeks, you have doubleheaders on Monday Night Football, and I'm very excited for it. Tomorrow you have New Orleans and Carolina, and then you have Cleveland and Pittsburgh. And then the next week, in week 3, in week 3, Monday Night Football starts off with same time, 6:15, 7:15. Starts off with the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then you have the Los Angeles Rams, Super Bowl rematch right here. Los Angeles Rams matching up against the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's a potential chance for Joe Burrow and the Bengals to get their first win of the 2023 season. Yeah, let's get into that. That's going to be the first game we get into, and that's Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Not that good. Not a good start to start this season, and maybe they can get some redemption against the Los Angeles Rams and beat them for beating them in the Super Bowl and get their first win of the season. That would be a hell of a way to get their first win of the year. Start off 0-2 and then beat the team that beat you in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. But the Bengals, divisional matchup today against the Baltimore Ravens, and they lost 27-24. A little bit of a struggle again from Joe Burrow. Better than last week. Way better. Threw only 83 passing yards last week. 222 today and 2 passing touchdowns. It was a rough start for Joe Burrow, but he got the click in the second half. Threw an interception in this ball game, though, but threw 222 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Joe Mixon ran for 60. T. Higgins had a monster game for the Bengals. 8 receptions and 89 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Jamar Chase struggled again. Jamar Chase in the first 2 games has only had 70 receiving yards. Lamar Jackson, a really good day, 24 for 33, 237 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. What does the Ravens' run game look like in the first game without J.K. Dobbins? Gus Edwards, 62 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. Lamar ran for 55, and Justice Hill ran for 41. Nelson Aguilar had 5 receptions for 63 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Mark Andrews, who did not play last week against the Houston Texans, had 5 receptions for 45 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Zay Flowers did not do much against the Bengals today. He did struggle. Never mind. He did a lot. 4 receptions for 62 receiving yards, but for some reason it was on the bottom. I don't know why. Odell Beckham only had 30 receiving yards in 3 receptions, and he did leave this game with an injury. The Bills crushed the Raiders and get their first win of the season after losing Monday Night Football last week, and the Bills win 38-10. Great performance by Josh Allen. No interceptions, 31 for 37, 274 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. James Cook ran for 17 carries and 123 rushing yards, and Damian Harris and Latavius Murray, backup running backs, ran for 2 touchdowns combined. Even backup quarterback Kyle Allen ran for a couple yards. Stephon Diggs had 7 receptions for 66 receiving yards, while Gabe Davis, starting number 2 wide receiver, had 6 receptions for 92 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Great win for the Bills. Jimmy Garoppolo threw 2 interceptions, threw 1 touchdown pass, though, and 185 passing yards. Devontae Adams had 6 receptions for 84 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. The Raiders were without wide receiver Jacoby Myers, who they signed from the Patriots, who had 2 touchdown receptions in week 1. The Buccaneers start off 2-0 to beat the Chicago Bears 27-17. Baker Mayfield throws 26 for 34, 317 passing yards and 1 touchdown pass, while Rachaad White had 17 carries, 73 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Monster game for Mike Evans, 6 receptions, 171 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. Justin Fields had 16 completions for 16 for 29, 211 passing yards, one passing touchdown, but 2 interceptions thrown by Fields. A lot of interceptions. Fields is still crazy to think about. Fields has still not had a 300-yard passing game. That is crazy. And Fields, the Bucs had him. The Bucs had his number on the run game. He did have a rushing touchdown, but only had 3 yards on 4 carries. Justin Fields did not run the ball much in this game. And the Bears offense might have been able to get going if he did run the ball more. DJ Moore, not a great game last week in week 1. Only 2 receptions for 29 receiving yards. Bounce back, 6 receptions, 104 receiving yards. Packers lose to the Falcons. Falcons come back. They were down 24-12 in this game. Falcons win 25-24. Desmond Ridder throws 19 for 32, 237 receiving yards, 237 passing yards, one passing touchdown. Bijan had 19 carries for 124 rushing yards. Great game by Bijan. Desmond Ridder even did good on the run with 40 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown and 10 carries, while Tyler Algier had 16 carries for 48 rushing yards, while Drake London had 6 receptions for 67 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Rookie Bijan also had 48 receiving yards on 4 receptions, and Jonnu Smith had 4 receptions on 47 receiving yards, and Mac Hollins had 3 receptions for 60 receiving yards. Love threw 14 for 25, was without Aaron Jones, his running back, who had a great Week 1 performance, was without David Bakhtiari, tackle, and was without his number 1 wide receiver, Christian Watson. Threw 14 for 25 with 151 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns. Rookie Jaden Reed had himself a day, 4 receptions for 37 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns, and Dobbs had 30 receiving yards. A rematch of the AFC Divisional Playoff, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Jaguars 17-9. The Chiefs get Chris Jones and Travis Kelce back. Travis Kelce in his first game of the season has 4 receptions for 26 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. The Chiefs win 17-9. Mahomes throws 29 for 41, 305 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Pacheco runs for 70 rushing yards. And Kadarius Toney does better, not much better, but 5 receptions for 35 receiving yards. Justin Watson and Sky Moore were big for this Chiefs offense today. Sky Moore had 3 receptions for 70 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. And Justin Watson had 3 receptions for 62 receiving yards. Overtime, Seahawks beat the Lions in overtime 37-31 with a game-winning touchdown by Tyler Lockett. Geno Smith throws 32 for 41, 328 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Kenneth Walker had 2 touchdowns on the run today with 43 rushing yards. Tyler Lockett had 8 receptions for 59 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. DK Metcalf had 6 receptions for 75 receiving yards, and rookie Smith-Jigba had 34 receiving yards, and Noah Fant tight end had 56 receiving yards. How about the Rookie Bowl, or what was supposed to be the Rookie Bowl? The Colts beat the Texans 31-20. Anthony Richardson gets hurt in the early second quarter. Richardson did run for 2 touchdown runs today, but C.J. Stroud, honestly, Anthony Richardson could have played the rest of this game, and I think C.J. Stroud probably was the better quarterback today. Stroud was unbelievable. 30 for 47 with 384 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Stroud has thrown 91 passes in his first 2 games as a quarterback and as a rookie, I might remind you. And his first 91 passes as a rookie has thrown 0 interceptions. So Stroud has been great to start off, and was 30 for 47 today with 385 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. And did a really good job leading this Texans team, and was without 4 of his 5 starting offensive linemen. I think just the fact that he was missing 4 out of his 5 starting offensive linemen and did all that was incredible. Nico Collins, wide receiver, had a career day, 7 receptions for 146 receiving yards and 1 touchdown, while rookie Tank Dell had 7 receptions for 72 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown, while Robert Woods had 6 receptions for 74 receiving yards, and Dalton Schultz had 4 receptions for 34 receiving yards. Gardner Minshew came in the game. The Texans had no game plan for him. They could not stop him. This Texans defense were not able to stop Gardner Minshew on the short pass. 19 for 23, 171 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown. Michael Pittman had 8 receptions for 56 receiving yards, but great performance by C.J. Stroud. Double overtime. Titans beat the Chargers in overtime 27-24. Game-winning field goal for the Titans and former Patriots kicker Nick Folk as the Titans win 27-24 in overtime against the Chargers. The Chargers have started 0-2, but they were without star running back Austin Eckler. Justin Herbert threw 27 for 41 with 305 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns, while Keenan Allen had 8 receptions for 111 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Ryan Tannehill threw 246 with 1 passing touchdown. Threw 3 interceptions in week 1, 0 today. and DeAndre Hopkins had 4 receptions for 40 receiving yards. Derrick Henry had 80 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. Giants beat the Cardinals in a 21-point comeback. The Giants win 31-28. They were down 28-7 in this ball game. Daniel Jones threw 26 for 37 with 321 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns, while Barkley had 63 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown, while Daniel Jones had 60 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. Darren Waller had 6 receptions for 76 receiving yards. Saquon Barkley had 6 receptions for 29 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown, but Saquon Barkley got hurt bad in this game. The 49ers beat the Rams 30-23. Matt Stafford throws 34 for 55. He continues to throw the ball to Puka Nacua. Stafford was 34 for 55, 307 passing yards, one passing touchdown. His first passing touchdown of the season. Kyren Williams had 14 carries for 52 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. Stafford even ran the ball for 17 yards. How about the rookie, 5th-round draft pick, Puka Nacua, with 15 receptions for 147 receiving yards. I picked him up in fantasy today. I was so excited I got him and no one else got him. Tutu Atwell had 7 receptions for 77 receiving yards. And not only does Kyren Williams get the touchdown on the run, but he gets it in the pass too. 6 receptions for 48 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. For the 49ers, Brock Purdy had a good day. Wasn't great, though. And Brock Purdy said he needs to be better. 17 for 25, 206 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Has not thrown an interception in the first 2 games. Christian McCaffrey had a monster game with 20 carries, 116 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Then the Commanders beat the Broncos out in a shootout, 35-33. The Broncos almost won this, or could have won this game off of a Hail Mary touchdown. The Broncos scored a Hail Mary touchdown in the 4th quarter. The Broncos needed to go for a 2-point conversion with time being crossed out at 0-0-0. And Wilson threw it in completion to Cortland Sutton, and the Commanders win and start off 2-0. Commanders win on the road in Denver 35-33. Russell Wilson, good day for him. Did throw an interception, but was 18 for 32 with 308 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns, and led the Broncos in rushing yards for 56 rushing yards. Cortland Sutton had 5 receptions for 66 receiving yards, while rookie had himself a day. Marvin Mims Jr., 2 receptions for 113 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. And then also the guy who caught the Hail Mary pass, Brandon Johnson, had 2 receptions for 66 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Sam Howell threw 27 for 39 with 300 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Brian Robinson ran for 90 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, while Terry McLaurin had 54 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Great win for the Broncos. The Cowboys beat the Jets 30-10. Dak Prescott throws 255 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Tony Pollard runs for 72 rushing yards. CeeDee Lamb has 11 receptions for 43 receiving yards for the Jets. How about a terrible performance for Zach Wilson? How about all the people that said Zach Wilson should be the Jets starter? Do you still think that? Zach Wilson threw 12 for 27, 170 passing yards, and 3 interceptions. If I'm the Jets, I still give him one more start because he was facing the Dallas Cowboys defense. It's not going to get much easier next week. Does face the Patriots next week. They have a great defense. It's going to be a little bit easier than facing the Cowboys. I don't think it's going to get much better, though, for Zach Wilson and the Jets, as he threw 3 interceptions today to the Dallas Cowboys defense. That Cowboys defense is elite. Wilson did lead them in rushing yards for 36 rushing yards, though. Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall were horrendous in this ballgame. They didn't even try to run the ball. Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall only got a combined 8 carries. I'm glad I didn't listen to the people that told me to start Breece Hall in fantasy this week because they were wrong. Garrett Wilson had a great game, though, for the Jets. He had 2 receptions for 83 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Then the Sunday Night Football game, you got the Dolphins and the Patriots. The Dolphins win 24-17. The Dolphins start off 2-0. Mac Jones throws an interception with 231 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown, while Monroe Stevenson has a rushing touchdown with 50 rushing yards. And Juju Smith-Schuster has 5 receptions for 28 receiving yards. And Hunter Henry has 6 receptions for 52 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Patriots could have sent this game to overtime. There was a play where 4th and 4, Mac Jones throws a pass to Mike Gesicki. He makes a forward pass to offensive lineman Cole Strange. He pushed to get the first down. They needed to hit this 29-yard line. To me, I looked at the replay. It looked like he hit the 29-yard line. I thought he got the first down, but agreed to disagree with the referees. Tua Tagovailoa threw 21 for 30 with 249 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown. Raheem Mostert had himself a day, 121 rushing yards with 2 rushing touchdowns. Tyreek Hill had 5 receptions for 40 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown, while Jalen Waddle had 4 receptions for 86 receiving yards and 0 touchdowns. And also, I think Jalen Waddle is being put on concussion protocol. There were so many players that were put on concussion protocol throughout today's game. I've never seen this many players being put on concussion protocol throughout one slate of games on a Sunday. It was ridiculous. I mean, just watching the Texans Colts game, there was 3 players getting put on concussion protocol just from that game alone. It was ridiculous today how many players got put on the concussion protocol. So wish to all those players that got put on the concussion protocol today that all of them are okay and do not have a concussion. But it was a rough day with concussions in the NFL. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed your thoughts on the games from today and the video, and peace out.